Winter Roses, Autumn by Fairytalelovr. Chapter 23. My dear brother, it is my greatest delight to announce the birth of my second son, Lord William Cristark. Both he and Lady Cristark fare well. We look forward to the next family reunion. Love, Lord Benjamin of House Cristark, Lord of Crystalia. Tywin huffed, annoyed, when he came back into his solar to find his sister sitting at his desk.
What do you want, Jenna?
You know you can't keep Cersei locked up forever, don't you? She asked.
She attacked me!
Oh, please, Tywin, don't be childish. You kept from her the idiocy Joffrey did and that he was facing a trial. You hid that he lost said trial and his crown. You hid that he had impaled himself out of sheer stupidity. And you hid that his bones were on their way here. And let's not forget that you are still hiding from her that Tommen and Marcella have been shipped off to Dragonstone with only Jaime as company, and the rest of the Redcoats in King's Landing are being sent home. You're lucky all she did was throw you on your ass.
What difference would it have made? She would have attacked me 3 moons earlier, or she would have been pestering me to call the banners. You know I can't do that. I have no ground on which to base a challenge. I would only look weak. Joffrey dug his own grave with his foolish actions. I still tried to salvage the situation, but Stannis Baratheon came and fucked up the trial by combat. There was never any chance for Joffrey to beat any opponent by himself, and attacking Robb Stark from his back with everyone watching is simply unacceptable. He could have come here and lived the rest of his life in disgrace, but comfort, but he decided to be a moron. Now he will be remembered in an even worse light, and Cersei's motherhood will never be trusted again. We lost Tommen and Marcella with that. I cannot do anything. My hands are tied.
Yes, Tywin, we all read the ravens and the letters Jaime and Stafford sent. And we understand the situation. Cersei
is a mother. You women are too fickle when it comes to emotions.
Take care who you call fickle, brother, Jenna warned. The point is that you betrayed your daughter in the worst way imaginable. If before she might have listened and done what you ordered done, now she will rebel and act out, and if the gods knows what else. You have to fix it.
Oh, is that why you want me to unlock her door? So she can start the insanity now? Tywin asked sarcastically.
Tywin, you are being ridiculous. For now, no one will question her disappearance. She is in mourning and all. Not that she was much of a public person before, but soon enough, people will start whispering that the Queen of the Seven Kingdoms is locked up in her chambers without dessert like an errant child, and then we will be in for a scandal.
We can claim it was the Targaryen blood that came down from Robert that made Joffrey mad, Tywin said, skirting the subject.
Jenna's eyes narrowed. Indeed, it was a good external excuse, though it obviously didn't apply, as Joffrey did not have one drop of Baratheon or Targaryen blood. That's a dangerous move, she said, and likely to get you in even more trouble with Robert.
I don't care what Robert Baratheon...
Don't be simple, Tywin. Robert Baratheon is the king, however stupid and irresponsible he is. Ned Stark is his hand. You have been in uncertain terms since the sack. It only deteriorated ever since he got to King's Landing, and this latest business puts you as open enemies. You have no influence over the small council, and no way to be aware of the decisions since Lord Baelish is gone. You are even losing your financial power over the throne. Tywin pursed his lips.
This has nothing to do with you.
I am a Lannister, brother. It has everything to do with me. I happen to know that we are producing very little gold right now, barely enough to sustain the rock. You cannot afford the Night's Watch dues are being charged now, and Ned Stark's order is to take against the Crown debt And that means that soon enough even you will lose. And then you will be the one in debt. Our position is weakening by the day. You cannot afford Cersei's grief, and you cannot afford the backlash of not smothering it.
How do you know all of that?
Tywin asked, flabbergasted. I'm not just a pretty face, brother.
If we can get those kingdoms to whisper that Joffrey's madness is caused by Robert's Targaryen ancestry, if we can turn people against the Iron Throne...
Jenna sighed. You know that's not true, Tywin.
Oh, so you want me to believe that it is Cersei's fault? That it was her blood, my blood, that made the boy mad? Madness is a thing from the Targaryen line. Their awful inbreeding caused that. Robert's grandmother was a Targaryen princess. That's where the madness come from.
Jenna was shocked. Did he truly? But he couldn't. Was her brother really that blind? Did he truly not see what was right under his nose? Say what you will, brother, she said after a moment, recovered. But I don't think it will help. Connecting it to you or not, Robert will be furious when he hears about it. He hates the dragons, and he will absolutely despise being reminded that he shares their blood. I don't think I need to remind you that, whichever his faults, you are the one who made only enemies of the other kingdoms. Whatever they feel against Robert, they hate you much more. But I know you will do as you please, so I won't waste my time. She stood up and crossed the room, not bothering to look behind. Outside, she stopped and exhaled. Men! Jenna cursed mentally. How dare he call me fickle when he only sees what he wants to see? Cersei stared at the letters and ravens spread across her desk. All the messages Jaime, Lord Baelish and Uncle Stafford had sent over ever since the madness began, all gathered and brought over by Aunt Jenna. Cersei had refused her entry until she said she had the messages, but hadn't asked to be left alone again soon after. Tywin hadn't yet tried to visit, but the Queen wasn't sure that would have been a good idea anyway. She had never thought she could hate her own father, her beloved father, that much. Her son needed her, and instead of telling her as much, Tywin had concocted a crazy plan that failed and hid the truth from her. She should have been told the moment Jaime's raven arrived. Then she could have sent a raven demanding that the trial awaited her arrival in the capital. After all, she was still Queen of the Seven Kingdoms. But she had been kept from the truth, and now her son, her sweet boy, was dead. Humiliated by Robb Stark, impaled because Jon Starling had pushed him, and Robert had been a spineless fool. He had walked away, probably to go looking for wine and a whore or two. And her father had kept it all from her. What if she hadn't seen Joffrey's bones arriving? Would he have been buried next to Mother and continued to keep it from her? Would she have only been told when she returned to King's Landing? And Tommen and Marcella! How terribly scared and lonely and in grief they must be. How much they must need her mother. She stood up and went to look out of the balcony doors at the ocean below. After a few moments, she had made up her mind. If her father said he couldn't call the banners because the trial was seemingly legal, then she would demand her arrival to the capital. This had all happened because Robert had sent her away and left Joffrey, her sweet Joffrey, alone and without parental guidance. Her poor, innocent son. He had been misguided because of neglect. She wouldn't allow Tommen to suffer the same fate. She would make sure she was there to raise him properly, even if the cost was to blow up Casterly Rock. The climate in King's Landing was still somewhat uncomfortable. Things had cooled down since the ill-fated trial by combat, but the King and the Lord Hand were still at odds. Robert had descended into a pit of hopelessness. He spent his days with wine and whores, and barely made it out of his chambers, unless he felt his
urge to kill something
rise, and he went hunting in the godswood. Ned still hadn't forgiven Robert for putting Rob in harm's way, especially for how it had almost turned badly for John. He swore his son had a homing signal for danger. Though he had to admit that Robert had been useful and even essential in charming the lords into honouring the long-forgotten taxes due to the Night's Watch. With the gold slowly trickling in now, bound to normalise in the coming year, when the lords had prepared for it, they were able to stop borrowing money. Casterly Rock was not paying anything, so Ned told Willis to deduct the amount from the debt the Crown owed them, which was the same deal offered to the Tyrells, so that Tywin Lannister couldn't complain about different treatment. Slowly, they would be able to start paying off the debts to the Iron Bank and the Faith. And then, without the pile of interest to haunt them, they would be able to bring the treasury back to normal again, even if it was going to take a few years. So, with the two old friends not on speaking terms, life crawled back to normal. Day after day, week after week, life went on. Sansa refused to go back north, saying Ella needed her in the capital. She had had a hard time in childbed, given the turmoil they were living in during the last few weeks of her pregnancy. So, begrudgingly, Ned accepted that his daughters would remain in the capital for a while longer. It was the last few days of the 10th moon now. The Lady Daenerys was in town making deliveries, and the captain brought a long letter from Jon. Other than tales from his grandchildren's marauderies and a request of his opinion on something, it brought great news, which Ned wanted to deliver to his wife with a huge smile.
Daenerys is pregnant again!
Oh, but that is amazing! Ella said, delighted. She must be so happy.
Well, Jon is certainly howling at the moon,
Ned said. Serena woke up then, demanding attention, and Ella picked her up. We are going to have another baby boom in a few moons, she said. Marjorie, Daenerys and Gilly are expecting.
Well, when it comes to babies, I think the more the merrier,
Ned said, making funny faces at his daughter, making her giggle. Coming from you, that's easy enough to understand. You do have 5 sons and 3 daughters, she said with a fond smile.
4 daughters, he murmured. Just because one was stolen from us doesn't mean she is any less our daughter,
he affirmed. Ella curved her lips in a small smile and blinked back tears.
Think we can make it around a dozen?
He asked, trying to lighten the mood. It worked, and she laughed. I don't know if I have enough years in my old body for 3 more. But if the gods are willing, I do think the more the merrier as well.
Good, he said, kissing her temple. I did say we should try and grow the people of the north.
Ella snorted, but finally sat down with Serena, who had started to complain that she was hungry. Presents! Lyanna exclaimed as soon as the servants brought a pile of them into the room, making everyone laugh. They had just finished having a huge breakfast feast to celebrate her 3rd name day, and she was beyond excited. We'll open them one at a time, Dany said, amused at seeing Jon just as eager as their daughter. The girl gasped and jumped with excitement as every new thing they unwrapped. Finally, Gren and Patrick carried a huge box inside. What this, Mama? Lyanna asked, standing up and rushing to it. This is from Grandfather and Grandmother, my love, Dany said. Come on, let's see what it is. She accepted Jon's hand to stand from the sofa, her baby bump still discreet and barely visible under her dress, and they went out to see where Lyanna was eagerly trying to pry the box open. Dany nodded to Gren and Patrick, and they took out the lid and pulled the front away. Lyanna gasped and then opened a huge smile. Look, my love, how amazing! Dany said. What do you think? Lyanna propelled herself through the opening and inside the dollhouse, gasping and laughing, delighted at the interior.
This will keep her occupied on rainy days,
Jon said quietly. Mama, this all mine? Lyanna asked, poking her head through the little window. You are going to have to take good care of all your dolls now, Danny said with a fond smile. This will be their home. The girl smiled and vanished back inside. God bless Ella and her good ideas, the adults laughed. Leah, aren't you lonely in there? Isla asked. Shh, Auntie, Leanna said from inside. A moment later she poked her head out of the window again. Blue just asleep.
Oh, but if Blue is sleeping, we shouldn't be here making noise, right? John said. How about we go see what Mama and Papa got you?
I have more presents, Papa? Just one more, my love, Danny said. Let's see what it is. Leanna nodded eagerly and came outside the dollhouse, starting to pull John's hand towards the door.
What did we say about running?
John asked with a raised eyebrow. Sorry, Papa. She stopped. We go now? He chuckled and led the way to the courtyard. On the entrance hall, he put his hands over her eyes. Papa!
It's a surprise, little love, John said, amused, helping her outside. Are you ready for your present?
Aye, Papa! Chuckling, John took his hands away, and Leanna blinked, looking around. Papa is... John crossed the steps to the present.
What do you think, Leah? Do you like your present?
This mine, Papa? Yes, love, Danny said. Do you like it? Oh, mine? Leanna asked, still incredulous.
Well, unless you don't want it,
John said, smirking. No! Leanna exclaimed, running over. Mine! She smiled widely. Beautiful horsey! John juggled, picking her up and lifting her to pet the pony's nose.
She's still a child, little love. Just like you, he said. You're going to grow up together. What do you think about that?
Aye, Papa! The filly huffed, clearly pleased with the petting. Leanna only giggled, scratching between the ears.
My dear brother, after a few moon turns, it is my greatest delight to announce that Lady Christark is with child again. I am unable to describe my happiness in words. Love, Lord Benjen of House Christark, Lord of Cristalia. My dear brother, I am one moon turn behind you, but it is also to my utter delight that I announce Lady Stark is with child as well. We have been blessed, brother, after all the turmoil our family has been through. Please do tell me how was Lord Willis and Lady Winifred's wedding, and whether little Adam enjoyed his name day present. Love, Lord Eddard of House Stark, Lord of Winterfell, Lord Paramount of the North, Warden of the North, and Hand of the King. My dear father, it is with a bursting heart and high spirits that I announce the birth of my first son and heir, your second grandson. Lady Marjorie suggested, to my eager agreement, that we name him Lord Eddard. We shall call him Little Ned, in honour of the best father in all the 7 kingdoms. We hope you can meet him soon, father. Love, Lord Rob of House Stark.
To Lord Tywin of House Lannister. We at the Iron Bank have received the business proposals you negotiated with our envoy, and would like to inform you that it has been accepted. We look forward to prospering with your business. Kind regards, Tychonis Taurus. My beloved mother, I am delighted to announce the birth of my son, Lord John of House Tarley of the Blessed Island. Lady Tarley is very well, and they are both in good health. I hope you can meet them soon, Mother. Love, Lord Samuel of House Tarley of the Blessed Island. Guillaume Mormont smiled when he unrolled the Raven scroll and read its small contents. He stood from his desk and crossed the castle down to the library. He was still in a state of delighted disbelief when he looked around. There were a few wildlings trading and helping build up the ruined towers, in exchange for builders and stonemasons helping overlook the night fort. As a result, Castle Black looked well kept, as it hadn't looked in centuries. The forge was busy forging weapons from the dragonglass being sent up from the Blessed Island, and thanks to the taxes finally being paid, they had enough gold to buy supplies and food. He also knew they would have much more money if they were receiving the full amount, but he had understood Lord Stark's need to fix the treasury, and he felt he owed it to the man after he was going to enforce the payment of the taxes they hadn't seen and wouldn't see otherwise. This deal ensured money to both of them, so why be greedy?
Aemon,
He called, entering the library.
I'm here,
The maester replied, making Mormont walk farther inside, to where he sat on his favourite armchair by the fire.
What is it? I sense you have news.
Mormont chuckled.
I do. There was a raven from Lady Starling. It is actually meant for you, but it was given to me. Well, it's not like I can read it, the old man said. What does it say? She has recently given birth to another son, Mormont announced. Oh, how marvellous! More little children. How do they fare? Well, Mormont said, but this is the best part, as I see it. They named the boy Lord Aemon Starling, in honour of my dearest uncle, and in the hope that he will be just as wise.
Maester Aemon couldn't hold back his tears of emotion.
I don't know if I am worthy of the honour,
he whispered.
Of course you are, Aemon. Would you like me to write down your response? Mormont asked. Yes, my friend. I would like that very much.
Daenerys found herself in a forest again, running through the trees. She remembered a similar dream a couple of years ago. She continued walking through the rows of ancient northern trees, and, just like before, when it opened into a clearing, there was a huge weirwood heart tree in the middle. Once she saw the laughing face of the heart tree, the entire wood began to laugh. But why? Why were the trees laughing? She heard a noise and turned around. Rhaegar! She gasped.
Hello, little sister, he said.
This is another vision, isn't it? It's not a dream, she said, taking in the features of her brother. He was familiar, but more so than from the two flashes in old dreams. There was something about the shape of his cheekbones.
We are Targaryens, Dany. Dreams and visions are sometimes the same thing to us.
Why are they laughing? She asked, looking around.
I can't tell you everything, sister, and we don't even have a lot of time. You have been to the wall. Jon has crossed to the lands of Always Winter. You must be careful, Dany. They are marching south. They come closer every day.
How do you know that? She asked, growing more confused by the moment.
I know a lot, little sister. You must be careful. The Red Priestess will be helpful, but do not trust in her powers of resurrection. Every death kills a little bit more of your soul. Lyanna might not be able to protect Jon the next time.
Lyanna, Dany whispered. The rebellion was a lie, wasn't it? You and Lyanna ran away together.
Rhaegar only smiled melancholically. Something is coming, Dany. When he taunts you, you must remember. After the Dune, all dragons are Targaryens, but not all Targaryens are dragons.
What does that mean?
I told you, I can't tell you everything. But you will understand what I am saying when the time is right. And, when you do, tell him I wish it could have been different.
Tell who? Dany was beyond confused now.
You are so lucky, Dany, that you didn't have to suffer under our father's madness. I let it go too far. I thought I was helping by trying to make the realm work apart from him. And I failed. But you were raised by a good man.
He laughed.
The usurper has no idea what he did.
What he... You mean betrothing Jon and I? You don't disapprove, do you?
You and Jon were always meant to be, little sister. Even if I wish things had been different.
The trees began to laugh even harder.
Happy name day, Danny. I wish you a very long life. And remember, when you come west, you must let them through the 14. Fire thrives in fire, Danny.
When I come... Am I going to cross Westeros to the other coast?
It will mean something at the right time, Danny.
Rhaegar, you are making no sense. But the trees were reaching deafening levels of sound now, and she was jolted awake.
What is John asked, jarred from sleep, still addled.
Nothing,
Danny said, taking deep breaths, burrowing deeper into his embrace.
Only a nightmare.
My dear brother, I have daughters! After over a day of labour, when we were all very worried, it became clear why my lady wife felt the pains earlier. It is because she carried 2 little girls, and the space was too snug to fit them both. Lady Cristark is very tired, but she will recover quickly. And my daughters are healthy, though small. We are naming them Lady Liara and Lady Rhea, after our mothers. Love, Lord Benjen of House Cristark, Lord of Cristalia.
My dearest grandmother, I am thrilled to announce that once again I am with child. Little Ned is such a good boy, and already he will become a big brother. Rob, obviously, wishes for another son, though I would like to have a daughter to keep me company, to whom I will teach all that you taught me. Winterfell is lovely, but I miss you terribly, grandmother. Love, Lady Marjorie Tyrell of House Stark.
My dear brother, I have a new little girl. She was in such a hurry to get here that they barely had time to call me from the throne room, where I was holding court on the king's behalf. Lady Stark was very glad it was over quickly, and they are both very well. I have decided to name her Lady Diana Stark. Love, Lord Eddard of House Stark, Lord of Winterfell, Lord Paramount of the North, Warden of the North, and Hand of the King.
My dearest mother, it is my pleasure to announce that Lady Tarly is once again expecting a child. We hope you can make a visit soon to meet your grandchildren. Love, Lord Samwell of House Tarly of the Blessed Island. Gendry wasn't in the least surprised when he heard the female voice telling off the loitering apprentices taking too long on a lunch break outside. He knew that she was staying for a while, even if all the guests had already left after Lord Adam's name day feast. Arya had been furious that she had needed to stay inside and act like a lady in front of the visiting lords. But she was the one representing House Stark, since Lord and Lady Stark had needed to stay in the capital. Lady Stanza was staying behind as well, too busy planning her wedding, and Lord Robb and Lady Marjorie had remained in Winterfell since she was heavy with child. There was a gust of icy wind, and then Arya opened the door, the bite of late snow in the air sending a shiver down his spine. And Gendry put his hammer aside. Nymeria attacked him first, jumping excitedly and wagging her tail, though she had only disappeared from his side at dawn, and it was barely midday. Then he saw her. Arya. She was wearing her riding breeches and leather jerkin, clearly intending to go out with a horse. She had changed too, in the year since he had last seen her, and Gendry couldn't prevent his gaping. Ever since her arrival, she had been stuck with dresses, prim and proper, and so he hadn't seen her in riding garments. Not that they had had much time to talk with the castle filled with highborns. Gone were the boyish features and the little girl's body. Her dark brown hair was long, falling down her back as far as her waist, and styled into an intricate braid to keep it off her face as she rode. She had blossomed, curves growing in all the proper places, and the breeches made her toned legs seem even longer. And while she was still petite and would never hold her sister's southern beauty, Arya looked like a true northerner that she was. She still had a long face, but it had grown into something definitely feminine and beguiling. The only thing that had remained the same were her eyes. 2 pools of shining grey, excited and always craving the next big adventure. "Why are you looking stupid?" she asked in her usual blunt manner.
Gendry chuckled, forcing his chin closed. "Sorry, I guess I didn't know you'd stop by today. I should have guessed, though, once Nymeria disappeared. She usually gives me a warning when she goes off."
Arya smiled. "Danny said Nymeria's been glued to your side since last year."
"They've noticed up at the castle?" he panicked.
"No," she waved her hand dismissively. "Well, Danny did, but she won't cause trouble."
"Your brother is going to skin me alive."
She threw back her head in laughter. "We're not the Boltons, stupid. And that's been outlawed in the North for generations, much to their dislike. Besides, Danny wouldn't let him."
Gendry grumbled under his breath, picking up his hammer again.
Arya rolled her eyes, but kept quiet, resigning herself to cross the rest of the way inside the forge and jump onto the counter he was working at. He spared her a glance before getting back to his work. "What are you doing?" she asked after a few moments of silence went by. Nymeria had happily settled in front of the fire and curled up for a nap.
Gendry sighed before turning to her. "Lord Tarley and I have been working together on a project."
"Oh, is this the same mysterious thing you've been working on for ages?"
"Yes," Gendry said. "We're almost there, though the gears have been nightmarish."
"And what is the thing with the awful gears?"
Lord Tarley had an idea, and then he saw me practicing with metal letters, and his idea grew bigger." Gendry shrugged.
Arya was displeased with his tight lip. She jumped down from the counter and rooted around his workplace, searching for something interesting, seeing that he wouldn't say anything. "What is this?" she asked, holding up a crude-looking dagger.
"Dragonglass," Gendry said, putting his hammer aside again, turning to face her as he leaned against the counter.
"What for? What could you possibly attack with a dagger like this?"
Gendry shrugged. If her brother hadn't told her, he wasn't going to be the one to. He had a hard enough time believing it himself. "Lord Starling's got to deal with the Night's Watch or something."
"Oh, is this about those icy monsters he and Rob saw beyond the wall years ago? Gilly was telling me of the real story after I caught her telling terrifying bedtime stories to the babies. It reminded me of old Nan."
"All I know is he went to the wall. Lord Starling started to mine dragonglass, even though everyone said it was going to be more expensive than what it sold for. But he ain't selling."
"He isn't selling," she corrected.
"Right, he isn't selling. He's giving it to the watch. Or there's some deal to do with taxes. I don't know, it's none of my business."
Arya shrugged. "So, what else is new?"
"Not much." He shrugged as well. "How is the capital?"
"Why? Do you miss it?"
"Not in the least. Best decision I made was to take this job."
Arya smirked, biting her lip and stepping closer. "The best? Really?"
He held her back at arm's length. "You're
Don't call me a lady. We've been through it enough times."
Doesn't change the fact that you're a highborn." "I'm nothing."
"I hate it when you talk like that," she grumbled.
"It's the truth."
"It's a stupid truth. My uncle and my father both married commoners. What's the problem?"
"The problem is that your uncle was set to inherit nothing, and your father had already married a lady and had heirs. You're a daughter of a great house. You have no business messing around with lowborns."
"You're forgetting one thing," Arya said, huffing in anger. "I don't care what other people say. And I only do what I damn well want." She pulled him down by his collar, and though he was infinitely stronger than her, he didn't have any strength to resist her. She had stolen that away through the years. Being an adorable, rebellious little girl, a tentative friend, forcing him to learn how to read so they could exchange letters when she was in King's Landing. A loud banging of the castle bells threw them apart. "What is it?" Arya asked, confused at his panic face.
"That's the armory's warning bell," Gendry said, picking up his cloak. Come on, I'll walk you inside the castle.
But what is happening?
Trouble, was all he said as they walked outside. Come on, let's go. Soldiers were running about, and, looking out to the sea, they could see the coastal defences throwing flaming lead balls onto 3 escaping ships. Arya looked back in the direction of Sunstone Town and saw 2 Starling warships pulling off from the harbour.
We're under attack,
she whispered unbelievingly. Come on, Gendry said, pulling her hand. Whatever it is, they'll be looking for you at the castle.
What if they are at the castle?
Nah, the panic would be greater. Ships are chasing those others. Whoever it is, they fled on those. Arya let herself be guided from the forge to the castle, Nymeria circling around them, attentive to any threat. Gendry insisted on seeing her to her family, so the guards allowed him inside. If Arya thought Dany was prone to dragonfire rage when she was beyond pissed off, it did not compare to what she was seeing of her brother once they walked into the audience hall.
End of chapter. Hi guys, hope you enjoyed this one. Fun fact, this is the first chapter I've recorded on my new laptop, so if it's bad, let me know. Anyway, what a chapter. I like that they're showing the passage of time through all the babies. That's really cute. Honestly, Ned's really having a lot of kids. And Isla's had twins. Love that bit. I like all the reading, and of course Dany and Jon naming their second son after Raymond is beautiful. And what a cliffhanger! We're getting into some proper drama now, guys. Anyway, you all know the drill. Like, comment and subscribe, and hit that bell to get notified for whenever I upload a new video. Have a good day, night, or whatever time zone you're in. Bye my guys, girls, and non-binary pals. I'll see you in another video. Take care. Bye!